Third row, Baker Mayfield. 4 career playoff games, 10 touchdowns, 3 picks, averages 30 points per game. 3 of those games have been on the road, nearly 300 yards per game, a 100 passer rating, 2-2. Jared Goff.
All right, so I wanted to highlight this because I talked about this before, and I talked about Baker Mayfield, and a lot of people got angry. You guys think I'm a Baker Mayfield hater? I really am not. I've said this repeatedly now that I think what Baker Mayfield and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have done this season has wildly impressed me. And I even defended Baker Mayfield last year when on the herd, J-Mac said that there was no pressure on Baker. It was easy for him to succeed. And I was like, no. I made a short about it. Go look it up. I defended him, saying, what are you talking about? There was all the pressure in the world on him, and it was awesome that he was able to succeed. And again, this season, I thought the Buccaneers this season was over. I apologize that you have all these injuries. And I had been nothing but impressed that the Buccaneers and Baker have been able to find a way through this. With that said, to act like he is a top playoff performer is just not accurate, okay? It's just not accurate. Let's just take last year against the Philadelphia Eagles, who Nick Wright himself said that they were the worst team in the NFL in the second half of the season. They lost 6 out of 7 of their last games against the Giants, the Cardinals, and Seahawks, against backup quarterbacks, bottom teams with backup quarterbacks they were losing to. Baker Mayfield threw for 337 yards against the Philadelphia Eagles. That sounds really good, right? Let's take a little bit closer. They had 219 yards after catch. 219 yards after the catch. Palmer's 56-yard touchdown reception should have been a 6-yard gain. Instead, it became an almost laughable talking point for the broadcast solely because it was embarrassingly bad. It was a 6-yard gain that then turned into a huge touchdown. Don't remember it? Let's take a look. A nice little short pass and an awful comically bad touchdown. Oh, can't tackle. Oh, let's combine into each other. And then there you have it. Pretty easy touchdown there. Yeah, I'd say so. I mean, like, again, what are we talking about here? Troy Aikman said what we were all thinking Monday night. The Eagles played like a defeated team. They looked nothing like the squad that won the NFC a year ago, or one that started this season 10-1, instead devolving into a dysfunctional mess that made the offense look like a chore and became, a terrible defensive team. They made the most basic requirements of the Eagles made the most basic requirements of professional football: blocking, catching, tackling, look different. Failed to execute in almost every key situation. Finished 0 for 9 on third down and made 0 adjustments when facing Tampa Bay's highly predictable blitzes. So again, like, what are we talking about here? You want to talk about all the points he scored and this or that? Like, just stop. It makes no 219 yards after the catch, and I think like 120 yards rushing. I mean, like, it's insane. Philadelphia tackled at a Pop Warner level on Monday night. Its fundamentals were absolutely horrible when it came to approaching a ball carrier. Like, come on. Then you want to talk about the Pittsburgh Steelers game? You want to see how this game started against the Steelers versus Browns? Let's take a watch and see how this game started. The first play of the game. Whoop! Uh-oh. Boop! And a touchdown. I mean, seriously. Come on. Okay, well, it has to get a little bit better, right? Here's like a next couple of plays, Now it's 11 minutes in the first quarter. 11 minutes left in the first quarter. So just a few minutes into the game. Things will probably get better, I assume, right? Here we go. Oh, Ben Roethlisberger. Come on, Big Daddy. Up and an interception. Nice little short yardage field there, right? I mean, like, again, that game was out of control from the get-go. The Steelers had lost 5 out of their last 6 games. Ben Roethlisberger threw for 4 interceptions and the fumble. 4 interceptions. Baker Mayfield was living at short yardage at that point. Living at it. I mean, we could see how much of a mess this all was. I mean, after that interception, like, here's Baker Mayfield, again, at the 40. Take a look. Let's take a watch of this now. Drops back. Nice little beautiful throw. And I'm just going to keep running. And running. And running. And running. So you can't just look at yards, passing yards per game, and touchdowns and points per game. Because we can clearly see how easily these things get inflated. Like, can we just stop with the madness? We can be accurate. We can talk about how Baker Mayfield is an underrated quarterback. That Baker Mayfield has overcome a lot of adversity. But we have to stop faking who he is and juicing it up. That's why people say that I'm a Baker Mayfield hater. No, I'm just being realistic who Baker is. Okay? I do not think that Baker Mayfield is a bottom quarterback. I do not think Baker Mayfield is a trash quarterback. I do not think any of those things. I do not think any of those things. But we have to stop cooking the books, man. We can have honest and real discussions here. It's going to be okay to tell the story accurately. I mean, here's another interception that leads to another short field. I mean, boom! Look at that. I mean, it's just crazy. I mean, look where he ends up at. They end up at like the 17. I mean, come on. Again, what are we talking about here? No wonder how you get this insane score that we got. Here's another interception that gives the Browns and Baker Mayfield short field. Boom, right at the 50. All of it is filled with it. I can seriously do this all day. I can do this all day. At the 40. A nice little, tiniest little pass ever. Let's just take it to the house. I mean, seriously. That's why you can't just look at stats. It's why you just can't look at the box score. You actually have to know. I remember this game. I watched this with my cousin. I watched this vividly. All right? I watched this game. Watched the Eagles versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers game. So when, you juice your stats with those big games, that's what happens. Again, here's now just all his playoff games, okay? When you say, oh, he's played 4 playoff games and averages over 300 yards a game and over 30 points per game. When you see the one game was 48 points, which I've already highlighted in those highlights, as well as the Philadelphia Eagles over 30, he put up 17 points against the Kansas City Chiefs and 23 points against the Detroit Lions. Let's stop pretending that was something magnificent. I mean, let's just stop it. The game even against the Steelers was 263. Against the Kansas City Chiefs was 204. I mean, come on. Can we just stop with this? Seriously. And again, I'm not making the argument that he's a trash quarterback or that he plays bad in the playoffs. But let's not pretend like this is something that it's not. That's my argument. That's why I'm making this video. This is not meant to bash on Baker Mayfield. You have to take me for my word when I say things like, I do not think, because people say you're such a Baker Mayfield hater. And then I'm like, I do not think Baker Mayfield is awful. I do not think he's trash. I think Baker Mayfield's better than Dak Prescott. I believe Baker Mayfield's a gamer and a baller and is very resilient. He has impressed me. I am not a Baker Mayfield hater. I am not trashing on Baker Mayfield. But when you come out and act like he is this top playoff performer, and you say things like he averages 30 points per game and over 300 yards, it's absolutely misleading. Absolutely misleading. When you see how so many of his yards come after the catch. 219 219. That's bonkers. Putting up 48 points. Where, again, so many of that came yards after catch, as well as just so many of these short fields. Like, again, you have to be honest with what you're seeing. You just do. Against the Kansas City Chiefs, tight-knit D, 1 touchdown, 1 interception, 204 yards. He played pretty decent against the Lions. But, 3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, and a 94 rating. Can't act like that was like an absolute slugfest. So, yeah, I hate to do it. But, I had to do it. It's out of my hands, man. I owe it to be as honest as I can be and not be afraid of some of the pushback. And like I keep emphasizing, I'm not telling you that Baker Mayfield should be off the mountain. He needs to be at the bottom of the mountain. He's awful. But it's just like, come on, man. Jalen Hurts, Lamar, like Justin Herbert, Stroud, to act like that Baker's like above those guys, above Russ, who went to 2 Super Bowls. Russ went to 2 Super Bowls. Jalen Hurts has the second highest, best statistical performance in his Super Bowl history. Like, come on, what are we saying? Seriously, like, what are we saying? It's such nonsense. And then, again, Nick Wright's even putting Jordan Love above Hurts and Lamar. Like, that makes any sense. You're basing that off of Jordan Love's, like, 1 game against the Dallas Cowboys? If we're going to go by 1 game, then how about Jalen Hurts against the Kansas City Chiefs in the Super Bowl? A PFF rating of 92, passing and running. And wasn't helped out with 219 yards after catch. With an insane amount of missed tackles. Just doesn't make sense. It really doesn't. And so that's why I had to make the video. I know it's going to continue to make Tampa Bay Buccaneers fans and Baker Mayfield fans thinking that I'm a hater of him. But like I gave you concrete evidence. I showed you the box scores, how misleading they can be. I showed you highlights from the actual games themselves, showing you insane missed tackles, little 3-yard passes that turn into 50-yard touchdowns. This isn't an opinion. This is not an opinion. I gave you factual evidence. Factual evidence. And I'm telling you, I'm looking at you straight up. I do not think Baker Mayfield is trash. I do not think Baker Mayfield's bad. I do not think the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are trash and bad. But we have to have the honest discussions. We have to. We have to. You want to use other games to pull back, to pull down some of these other players. And it's like, well, how and where and why then? We're just going to discredit Russ's Super Bowl performances, Super Bowl runs, multiple. We're just going to ignore the fact that Jalen Hurts last year was playing with a bad knee and a dislocated finger, missing his number 1 weapon, with the center who was like, I'm retiring. We're going to act like Lamar Jackson didn't ball out against the Texans last year. We're just going to pretend that never happened. Like, huh? Huh? Come on. Just doesn't make any sense. So I was backed into a corner. Sometimes you just gotta act. You gotta act. But those are just my thoughts. Please try to dispute what I'm saying without just automatically calling me a hater. Try your best. I encourage you, try your best. Because I just already told you I don't hate Baker Mayfield. I do not hate Baker Mayfield. And you know what? Just for fun, I'll give you more proof. Here is a video from December 2023, over a year ago, where if I was a Baker Mayfield hater, I would easily just be able to echo whatever the heck J-Mac had to say. So let's just take a quick listen. It's a very short.
How much of this is, hey man, Baker, last chance. You're playing with house money. You had a great run in college, good start to your career, no pressure here in Tampa. And he plays great.
Well,
you gonna go pay him now and make him your guy? Is that what I heard you say?
well, time out. Everybody wants a defensive interim coach with 2 years to be a head coach. I'm saying Baker is a #1 quarterback who led the Tire Fire Browns to the playoffs, and he's now doing the same in Tampa. This is legitimate.
Okay.
I don't know what J-Mac is talking about. It's clearly legitimate. No pressure. Baker had all the pressure in the world. This isn't house money. He didn't have house money. He was playing for his entire NFL career. If he failed in Tampa, who else was going to want him? I mean, he was just either going to be a straight up backup quarterback or he wasn't going to be in the league at all. So house money makes no sense. You have to give it to Baker. He actually did rise to the occasion, and he's looking pretty good right now. Those are some weird things that a hater would say, don't you think? Doesn't really make sense. So yeah, I keep receipts, man. I keep receipts. So again, try to combat what I said and my argument without just saying, you're a hater, you're a hater. Because we literally have me defending Baker Mayfield over a year ago. It's literally one of my first videos I made on this channel. I only started making videos on this channel in December of 2023. If I was a hater, I would be ripping him. And I did not. I did not. Even here, I didn't rip him. I just accurately assessed how those games unfolded. So yeah, if you want to act like Baker is apparently a top 4 playoff performer right now, that's your prerogative, man. Best of luck to you. Best of luck. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about Baker Mayfield being a top 4 playoff performer? Because yes, it does go left to right. We know that. That's why they always joke about it. We know it. Let me know in the comments below. I'll read every single comment. So whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions. Let's get in some fights. But ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. I'm sure a lot of Baker Mayfield and Tampa Bay Buccaneers fans are going to subscribe to this video. But please do consider subscribing. You might realize that I'm actually not a hater, that I am pretty fair and am more than willing to change my opinion when I get new evidence to present itself. Thank you so much, and see you next time.